All right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Jane. And thanks everybody for joining in today. This is Career Lab Wednesday. We are here every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central. And we always have something of a topic building on what we were sharing about last week. But I want to underline that the most important thing is you and your goals, you and what you're working on in your career. And any question that you have, we invite. Any career-related question that you've got is welcome here. So let us know. There's a few ways that you can engage. We love it when you come in on Zoom directly. Good to see you, Lucky. Welcome. Welcome, Lucky. Welcome, Addie. Good to have you on. Love it when you jump in on Zoom directly. We can work together one-to-one that way. If that doesn't work for you, you can always type your question into the comment section. If you're viewing in through LinkedIn Live or through YouTube Live, you can type your question into the comment section and Jane will get that over to me and I will do my best to get to your questions. So if you've been following us for a while, you know that we've had Drew Allison on for a couple months who opened up his journey of getting his position being eliminated, him being laid off, and then his journey of getting the next job. And so it was really cool to be with him on that. And what we found in there was all kinds of cool stuff about communication, all kinds of things of how to engage in an interview, to be effective, to show that you know what's needed there, or to find out what's needed, and to show that you're a competent person. We got to see that. We also got into how you, in the process of searching for a job, how important it is to have people in your community, how important it is to have a network, how important it is to access that network. It can be a challenging time. I remember Drew shared that when he first found out that his position was being eliminated, it was like a kick in the gut. It's like a breakup. You know, there's a lot of stirring stuff that happens in career transitions. So that's part of why we have this group as well, is for people to be able to connect with and learn vicariously with people. So when you do share, when you do join in, know that you're serving other people. Know that what you're saying is helping out other people. And as you're listening into questions that others are asking, always keep an open mind and think about how you can apply that to yourself. It's much more useful to use this for yourself rather than giving advice. Now, sometimes somebody's asking for something specific, like, do you know, where would I connect to get this resource? That's great. We do invite that kind of communication here. This is a spot to support you in your career growth. So again, we invite all questions career related. Today, we're specifically looking at what we were building off of last week was about how to engage in your career, whether you're just starting off, whether you're in the job search, or if you are in a company and you're looking to advance in that company. How is it that you engage with the people around you that's going to have you moving? And that's, we could say a whole lot about that, but we're getting a lot of people on here. And I want to know if anybody has any questions. What questions do you have? You're welcome to come off mute. Would love to have you come off mute and I can work with you directly. If you can't, you can type your questions into the chat. Go ahead and type any questions that you have into the chat. Welcome. Welcome, Jasudas. Good to have you here. So, how can we serve you today? What questions do you have, whether you're looking for a job or whether you're looking to advance where you're currently at?
I do have a question, George, if
Yes,
I'm okay to go.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, so I applied for an internal role within my current company, and from what I can tell, even though it has analyst in the title, it seems like it'd be a promotion based on two things from what I can tell from the albeit kind of generic description they've given for this role. On one front, or on yeah, on one front, as part of this role, you're being involved with decisions that are going to kind of affect the strategic direction for an entire business of the company versus the role I'm in now, which is more of just kind of affecting product groups. And then
Hmm.
just from a purely kind of who am I reporting to perspective, instead of being, I believe it'd be four levels from the president CEO, now I'm one level removed from the president CEO. So my thought is that even though it has analyst in the title, I believe the official title they're giving it is product line analyst. I'd still consider it a promotion from being a production planner what I am now. I don't know if that makes sense with what kind of limited info I told you, or do you think I should maybe probe for more information from the HR person internally who's posted this role?
Well, I think you should probe for more information either way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what is it an increase in pay?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a week since I've applied for it. There's no salary information
Okay.
available for it. So again, all I know is kind of the general job description that they posted with the role title and all that. Um, I would imagine it's an increase in pay considering kind of the high level implications that they give within the description that, what you're working on is going to affect an entire business of the company. So, millions of dollars, millions of pounds of product uh, could be impacted by the decisions you're making in this role. Uh, so I
So
would say
it definitely
yes.
sounds like it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And it sounds like it's a step up.
Yeah, and I hesitate to probe the HR person for more info yet, just because it's only been a week since I've applied. Um, but I was thinking maybe either like end of this week or next week if I don't hear anything, because by that point, you're looking at a week and a half, 2 weeks without potentially not hearing anything, which I don't know if I will. It's nearing the end of our fiscal year, so I imagine that impacts how they're going to handle this job opening.
Okay. What's your sense of how is the process there? Like, are you, if you, is it better to be reaching out and showing that you're interested? Is there a streamlined process and it just goes like clockwork, or is it, you know, not the primary function of HR to facilitate that?
Yeah, I it's hard to say just because technically we're a newer company, even though we split from off a older company. So I don't know how much of the prior HR practices will carry over. Um, I don't think it would hurt for me to necessarily reach out to the HR partner internally after a decent amount of time to give them a chance to, evaluate candidates. Because from what I can tell, this has also been externally posted. So I imagine, they're getting candidates externally as well.
Eric,
Um,
my gut on it is that you should reach out. Don't wait too
no,
long.
wait. Okay,
Yeah. You're
that's
more of
fair.
an analyzer type, and so your tendency is going to be to wait
Yeah, yeah,
and see. And it sounds like, I mean, you're already in. Let them know you're interested. Like, really let them know it's a newer, um, it's newer, and so my hunch is that the hiring process isn't really all that set up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so if you facilitate, like you're doing them a favor, letting them know you're interested.
yeah. And I think I functionally am a good fit for this role. Um, I already cover a lot of the products that would be involved. I've have experience doing kind of the similar styles of work that they're asking for. So yeah, no, I definitely think that probably be best to be a bit more on the not aggressive, but say assertive side. So yeah, I'll definitely reach out and see what they say, and we'll go from there.
Does your manager, what's your relationship like with your manager, supervisor, boss? Who are you?
Yeah, no, I get what you were saying. No, she definitely knows. I definitely told her that, and I definitely feel this way as well. That if this role, I'm only gonna really move forward with this if it's gonna be something that I feel is gonna be an interest and fit for me, because I do also really like my internal role or my current role and my current team that I'm on. So I don't want to leave that all behind for something that I don't think is going to be a good fit work for me. So, but she's definitely aware of it. So,
Did she give you any feedback?
um, not about this in particular. I mean, I know feedback she's given me in the past that the um, kind of partner company that we work with, I always, she tells me that they really enjoy working with me. I get positive feedback from my teammates. Um, so I've gotten positive feedback overall. Um, she didn't really say anything about me applying this role. I think she's in general supportive, because I know when we've talked in the past, I made it clear that I want to advance my career. I want to move on to kind of that next step, whatever the next step would be. So I think she's supportive of me doing this.
Okay. Cool. The more that you connect with her and get her feedback to you about how you're and what she sees for you, the more of a relationship you have with her, the better.
Yeah. I know we've worked a lot over the past few weeks just because we've had a product group of mine that's uh, let's just say not doing the greatest right now, to put it in polite terms.
Okay.
So we've worked a lot together, and I know over the coming weeks we're supposed to get feedback as part of our review. So I'll have a more concrete idea of where exactly we stand. Um, just because a lot of times she's in meetings and we have her one-on-one, but a lot of times it's covered over going through my product groups and how those are doing. But I think in general, I think I have a pretty positive standing with her as of today, at least.
Okay, well and around today's topic of engagement, when you have a good relationship with somebody, you can get more from it. That's the time, like, not just to have her be happy with you, but the more that you can share with her and have be co-visionaries together about
Yeah.
your direction, and for her to feel good, like, oh, it's so cool that Eric is moving into this new position. I want to make sure that I say or do anything that will help him. I want to see him succeed. And the more that you can develop that kind of a relationship, the better.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So I'll kind of see what happens with this role if they want to move forward, and I'll reach out to the HR person for this role because they're in this would be out of our official headquarters office up in Schaumburg, actually.
Okay.
Um, but I'll reach out to them, see what they say. Again, I checked the box because there's a box of, when I applied internally, is your manager aware of this role or that you're applying for this role? Yes or no? And I checked. So I would imagine they'll reach out to her for feedback
Good.
um, when I apply for this. So I'm not concerned about that. I have also other internal references that I can give them to talk to that I feel very comfortable with, that they'd give me positive feedback. So I'm not, I think I'm really the main thing I'm concerned with this internal role is what exactly it pans out to, just because the description I thought was could be very generic. You could copy and paste a lot of that into other roles, and
Oh,
you could, not differentiate a whole lot outside of, just being specific to a certain part of our business. If you get what I'm like, I'm trying to.
yeah. Okay. No, so this is good. This is that I'm so you do need to do more investigating and
Yeah,
really
yeah,
finding out if this is something you want to do.
yeah. That was I was really hoping that, and that's a big part of kind of why I told her I don't want to necessarily move past because I imagine there's of course going to be like the initial HR screen that generic questions, blah 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 blah. And I was planning on asking them then, hey, can you go more into this part of the role, this part of the role, just because it's very uh, again generic, or I think it's generic.
So so this might, I mean, I don't know what the environment and culture is like there, but you wanting to know more about it and to find if it's a good move for you would actually be valuable for them to understand about hiring for it in terms of how they're communicating out and what's really,
Right, right.
so that you could be serving you asking more questions about it is absolutely of service, and you being nosy and going for it more is I think will only help things. Now you,
Okay,
of course, you want to do it in rapport,
right, right.
but you can, if you let them know that, like, hey, this is, I'm interested in it. I'm not saying I'm definitely, but I can help you think it through, or I don't, you're gonna have to use the wording that's correct for you, but you can
Yeah, yeah.
totally kind of go take the lead on it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think I'll try to phrase it that, um they could help give me some clarity on what's expected of this role, kind of versus what, kind of maybe beyond the job description, and see if they maybe would be able to take 10, 15 minutes out of their time, or out of their time, but out of their day to, chat over Teams to give that clarity.
Yeah, and you could if it was appropriate, you could repay with an updated posting of the job if you
Yeah,
found, oh, it's actually more of this. You could help them get that clarity.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm not sure how that would go over, honestly. I'm
Okay.
not, you know, again, this company itself has only existed for I think this is like our first full year of being in existence. Um,
Okay.
so, but yeah, I think it's all really good feedback. I think the key here will be me being assertive, and worst case is they don't want to move forward with me, which, again, I'm perfectly okay with. Of course, it'd be a little bit of a bummer, right? Because, even if you're not super keen into it, it still sucks to be rejected. But again, I
Yeah.
really like the role I'm in. The teams I'm on really is really good. So, I definitely think I'll be more assertive and reach out to them and see what happens from there.
I'm thinking assertive in service.
Yeah, yeah,
You're in service being assertive, and yeah, the rejection hurts, but you're also flagging to everybody that you're interested in wanting more, which,
yeah, yeah.
if other things are opening up now you're giving yourself more visibility, so this is good.
Yep, yep. So, but that's really the main question I have. So I definitely appreciate the help and insight, and I'll of course keep everyone posted as to what happens with it.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for the question. This is good. And I'm just reflecting that, you've been joining in for some time and have been using this Career Lab well to continue to develop yourself and build your relationships. So I'm just wanting to give you a shout out for that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's even if you don't participate, and I'm just sometimes just listening. There's always usually good nuggets that you can take away um, from the questions, regardless of what industry or role that you're in. So
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to do a quick room reset. I am getting some questions here in the chat. This is Career Lab Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, noon to 1. Our goal is to help you in your career. We look at your career as a pathway for you to reach your potential. Is what you're doing at work, is that helping you become who you can become? Are you developing skills that are important to you? And so we take that approach, whether you're starting off and interviewing, or if you've been with a company for a while and you're continuing to develop there, how is it helping you become who you can become? So there's a few ways that you can engage. We love it when you jump in directly on Zoom, can work with you like Eric. If you can't do that, you can always type your questions into the comment section on YouTube or LinkedIn, and Jane will get those over to me. Now, I am getting a question from Alexander. Any general tips for negotiating salary? For example, an application has sometimes fixed salary, but recently, for me, applications had open spots on the applications for salary expectation. Did quick Google search for median salary to put in. Is there any way to further engage with a potential employer to negotiate further? Good question. Good question. Alexander, are you able to share? Do you want to share more, or are you just wanting a response to this? I'll start sharing it, and feel free to come off mute and or type more if you want to. So, ideal situation is that you get the salary from them, or you're able to find out what it is, what they're thinking, and then of course you go for the high range of that, and you always bargain down. I don't know if that's something that you would be able to do, if you can connect with anybody there. So in the industry, you find out what's reasonable for that. You don't want to go too high so that you don't get any follow-up. But you find out for what the industry is and your location, what the expected salary range is. And I mean, I think that's the tip that I can give with the information that I'm getting here. To negotiate further, I mean, at the depending on what the position is, I find that most companies, when hiring, especially increasingly so, they want to hire the right person. They want to hire the right person. And so if they like you and they think you're the right person for it, you have a lot more you can negotiate. That can be more important, because bringing on somebody that ends up not working out is expensive to do. So first and foremost is, are you the person for it? If you're the person for the role, negotiate for what you want. I'm hoping this is helpful. Let me know. Anybody else that's on, anybody has any input that they want to share here? At a firm looking to move out into a company doing contract. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's it. Alex, you're gonna just want to find what they're really looking for, if you're going to be doing contract reviews, and you should be able to as you're talking about what the job is, you should be able to negotiate what you want. And if it's a spot that you really want to work, maybe you'll give a little bit on what you're willing to negotiate down to, if it goes that direction. Let me know if this is helpful, Alex. I think I'm getting that it is. Okay. And also, by the way, if you want to connect with me directly, and this isn't a format that you're comfortable talking in a way that's being streamed live, set up a 15-minute call with me. I will serve you as much as I can in that time. And if a next step is more sessions, we can look at that. So we're throwing a link in there where you can book 15 minutes with me. So Alex, set up a time to talk with me and let's dig in a little bit more there. Thank you for your question, by the way. I think a lot of people probably have that question about how to negotiate. And so I'll underline that again. Most places, it's really important that they're hiring the right person. And so that gives you room to negotiate. I'm thinking about a client I had who was able to say, look, I really am interested in this company. There's some things that here's what I don't like about it. I don't have this experience. I can get this experience that you need here, that I can, would that be part of the training that I would be doing here? Is that part of that? And so she's in there at that level, telling them what she likes and doesn't like about the company. And she ultimately said, you know what, given that you're needing this, I think I could probably do it, but it doesn't sound like I'll have the support that I want. I'm gonna say no to this role. This is not something I'm interested in. But she was so in rapport with them, and in the process of that, helping them think through what they were really looking for. They said, look, we know we want you. We know that you're somebody that we want in our company. We're going to look at some things and see what we can do. And they ended up bringing her on in a way that does work for her. And it took several months actually. And then when she started, she said, this has been such a process with me working at this other company and, negotiating here. I do want to start. Part of my request is that I start with the 2 weeks of vacation. So she even negotiated 2 weeks vacation to start at the new company. So, but that's letting you know that when you're the person that they want and you're communicating that, that's the most important thing oftentimes. That's not true of every position, but that's what we're aiming for. So I hope this is helpful to people. So, would love to hear from others. How can we serve you today? What are you working on, and what questions do you have regarding your career that we can help you with? You can type your questions into the comment section on LinkedIn or on YouTube, or you can join in directly with the Zoom link here. Lucky, I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear you. Thanks, Eric. Take care. Have a good meeting.
Oh, I see an unmute button. Can I be heard?
Yes. Hey, Lucky, what's going on?
Well, the comment on the last person and Eric, as somebody who employs conversations searching out the job, really brings that person to the forefront. I'm more interested in them because they're willing to engage. And to be really honest, sometimes they bring up questions about the position that I hadn't thought of, or concepts I hadn't thought of incorporating. So, yeah.
Sweet, Lucky, thank you for that. That gives me, I'm going to ground this a little bit in some of our training, our approach to life overall, but how we tie it into career. So engaging with people around you. So what Eric's doing is he is sharing more about what he's wanting. A lot of us have beliefs, especially I'm thinking it's been heightened by times of COVID where there was all this isolation. We're all kind of coming back out of it still, depending on where you're at. And so to communicate, and often over communicating can be a good thing. It kind of depends on you and your personality style. But if you're somebody who's often in your head thinking about, is this the right decision? Should I do this? Very often the answer is just open your mouth and start speaking and connecting. And because as you do that, you're going to get more data about what's actually going on. And you'll get feedback from people that will help you make the decisions, help you take the steps. So thanks, Lucky, for underlining that about how important engaging is. If you're in your job search, one of the things that was really striking about what Drew was sharing when he lost his job was that he was doing a lot of activity. He was spending his day, he was basically working 30 to 40 hours a day in a job search. So he had the job of getting a job. He knew that he needed to hit a certain number of dials of reaching out to people and texting, LinkedIn messaging, so that he could set up the right number of meetings. He was going for 3 a week. And that would give him the opportunities where he would be getting enough interviews at enough companies that he would be able to make a decision about his next job from a place of abundance instead of from a place of scarcity. So just a foundational thing was a lot of activity, a lot of engagement was what he was focused on. So that's true of a job search, and that's true when you're at work in your company, of engaging with the people around you, connecting. That's only going to help you. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. Sometimes we're introverts, and that's not our go-to. But that kind of activity and engagement will only help you develop.
And customers, please do not block.
So thank you. So good to have you all on. Scott, Babita, Jesus, welcome. Good to have you, and see you, Cynthia and James. Any questions that you have? How can we support you today? Again, go ahead and type questions into the chat if you have them, and feel free to come off mute and share. Welcome, Scott.
Hi. The question that was asked earlier pertaining to contacting the persons that you're seeking to job, I've responded to recently to a lot of different positions. And at the same time, I sense that probably because of their being so very busy, it might be appropriate if I connected up with them to find out how they've revised the job description or other things. I just want to show that I'm passionate. Is calling for good?
Yes. I think the quick answer is yes. I think letting people know that you're interested in it until they give you a no.
Any directions about what time or how or when or how much?
Well, can you give me a specific company that you're wanting to respond to?
Well,
you don't have to name the company, but is there one? Let's just go with one, and because it might be different for each one.
My background is in community development. Oftentimes I'm catching up with regional development commissions, RDCs. And oftentimes they're overwhelmed with a lot of different response to their search. And I'm wondering if maybe I would be touching base with them within a week or something like that. Or,
yeah.
10 days?
Yeah, I'd follow up in a week.
Okay.
Yep. I wouldn't wait any longer.
By the way, I genuinely appreciate all the questions that are being asked by others as well. Like you just said at the very beginning, vicariously, I appreciate all the answers that are given about questions that I haven't asked yet.
Sweet. Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Those are great.
So yes, I think, and this fits right in with the topic of engagement, of follow what you want. Follow your heart with this. If you want to hear back, if you're excited about a company, one of the things that Drew was confirming, he's worked in hiring in other companies earlier, is a lot of times people don't have a great hiring process. That often gets left left to the back end of things. And so you're probably only doing somebody a favor by following up to a position that you're really interested in. Know that they may be, whoever is interviewing you and who's ever in charge of the hiring process, that might be their third responsibility. It might not be top of their list for every day. And so if they know that you're interested, that can only be a good thing.
Thank you,
Scott,
George. I
thanks for the
appreciate
question.
all the answers that are given by others, questions that are raised. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So we got a good question here. So how important is it to have outside curricular activities or membership organizations that you are involved with, and what weight do they carry if they are directly related to your work versus not? Well, there's a lot in there. It kind of depends. There's more I'd want to know, but outside activity is a really good idea most times, just for our well-being. I'll share a quick story from resident leadership, and Bernard Bess and Richard Rizzio. They were studying about where breakdown happens, where burnout happens. And in looking at teachers who value the community, value, teachers don't get paid a whole bunch. So they're not doing the job for the money, they're doing it for the connection. But it's also incredibly challenging in a lot of schools. And so they found that if the teacher just completely poured their whole life into this role, that they would burn out. But also if the teacher said, nope, I'm only doing 8 hours, I'm not going to do a whole lot of lesson planning, I'm not doing anything afterwards, I'm just focused on this time, they last a little longer, but a lot of them would burn out. The ones who didn't burn out, or the ones who would have extracurricular activities where they would go volunteer with other nonprofits, they'd go be a part of community gardens and this sort of thing. So they were following their heart, and they were getting the nourishment that they wanted. They were getting their payment from somewhere else than this really challenging school situation, where they could just go kill it, basically. It's like, man, I'm in war. I mean, sometimes, schools can be like going to war. And so they get to then go to a place where they can just kill it. And they get to enjoy themselves. They get to see themselves being successful and see the impact that they're making in a way that's really important to them. And they find then that lights up all kinds of creative possibilities for them and helps them grow in their role as a teacher or principal or whatever in that school. And they actually do better and are able to affect more meaningful change in that organization. So that was kind of that's where my brain went with the question about extracurricular activities, is to be thinking about you as an individual, what really serves you, what excites you in extracurricular activities. Because if you're only doing it as a strategic thing, it might not take you in a direction that's really meaningful to you. But if it's something where it's like, hey, there's all these possibilities out here. I like connecting with people. I like being engaged in activities and events. Then, yeah, you look at the ones that line up with, that are going to put you in touch with the people you want to be in touch with. Like if I have a career track where I've got this certain mission, and people who are going to help me get there play golf, and I like playing sports, or they play tennis, then I'm going to choose the one that's going to put me around the people that I want to be with, whether it's pickup games of basketball, pickup tennis, squash, whatever. Like, so just that might be the way that you would pick the extracurricular activities as well. If you have a specific direction that you're going, just find the ones that make sense. Is that helpful?
Can I ask a quick question? So like when you're asked like about that in the hiring process or in interviews, what are they looking, what are the interviewers generally or the company looking for in your choices of, you know, things that you're associated and affiliated with outside of work? Are they looking for like your leadership roles in those activities? Are they just looking for, you know, how well-rounded of a person are you? Are they looking for like, oh, well, they're very focused on career related organizations? Does that make sense?
Good question. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. It's going to be different for probably everyone. It could be any of the three things that you named there. It could be any of them. So if the company needs, if you need to be demonstrating leadership, and that's what that role is going to take, then when they're looking for those extracurricular activities, they're going, that's the lens that they're going to be looking at it through. And so you could frame your extracurricular activities towards what the role is that you're interviewing for. Does that help? Okay, cool. Good question. And that's you know, especially when you're coming into you know, if you're coming from school, from college into your first job, that might have a whole lot of weight with how you present that. So great stuff there. I am getting a question here. I'm going to just say a quick thing. Again, Career Lab Wednesday, we're here every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central. If there's questions or things that you want to get into that you don't want to get into here on a live format, that's great. Set up a time with me, 15 minutes. I will serve you as much as I can in that time. We also have these posted on YouTube. So there's a whole catalog. If you're like, I need help with a resume, or I need help with my LinkedIn profile, or I need help with negotiating salaries. Actually, I should have thrown that link, Jane, we should have thrown that link in there earlier for Alex. You can send it for him. You can go back and review those as well. But we do have a question here. So, self-taught software engineer with no degree certification of any sort. Worked in the service engineering industry for 7+ years. However, despite my experience, I haven't been able to make the next step in my career due to my inability to ask for help. Inability. I'm just gonna, given that I'm reading this from here and there's a lot of information, I'm just going to go into coach mode here, and I hope that this helps and lands for you. If it doesn't, just discard anything I say that doesn't help you. When you say inability to ask for help, that's a limiting belief. We're all able to ask for help. I feel afraid of asking for help. I have a deep limiting belief that I don't matter and I'm not worth, you know, why would anybody ever want to help me? But it's not true. It doesn't make it true. So as I'm reading that question, make the next step due to my inability to ask for help. I just don't buy it. Everybody is able to ask for help. I'm not saying it's not a challenge. So you might look at that and look at what it's going to take for you to ask for the help that you want. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's a doable thing if you know how to do it. As somebody who will do just about anything but ask for help. You could ask my mentor that, and he would confirm. I think because I'm self-taught, I feel like my ability to do the work will be questioned if I ask for help when I need it. Oh, yeah. Given that you're self-taught, look, you're probably going to have certain things that you just didn't learn. And you might want to pay the price and go get some certifications or do something. In the long run, it might just help you with the confidence thing there. I mean, how long have you been paying the price of not getting the certification you need, and finding workarounds for it? I don't know if that's available to you. I don't know, you might have circumstances that don't allow it, but I'm just putting that out there, for everybody. This has resulted in me spending hours of personal time trying to find solutions. There you go. Yeah. I think everybody can relate to this. Like, spending a lot of extra time on my own trying to find a solution to something where reaching out and asking for help might have had me resolve the issue in a tenth of the time. In addition, I often struggle to learn a new position because I don't feel like I can ask questions. What is your advice for someone in my situation in terms of how to approach coworkers for help without seeming unknowledgeable? I relate so much to this one. Thank you. Thank you very much for asking this question. The way that is, I think I'm going to reframe this around how we approach interviewing. So just picture somebody coming in and interviewing with you, where they just want to tell you all the ways they know how to do the job. They're like, I know how to do this. This is my experience. And they're just going to list that all off to you. I very quickly will get bored and stop paying attention to the person when they're just telling me that they already know how to do everything. It doesn't really land for me. What's actually more interesting and engaging is if somebody comes to me and starts asking me questions and demonstrating that they're secure enough with themselves that they know that they don't know everything. That shows more maturity and opens up a more interesting conversation. So the quick response here is to this question around, how do I ask for help without seeming unknowledgeable, is I kind of doubt that anybody else is even thinking about if you're unknowledgeable or not. That's probably just you. That's probably you and your insecurities. And if you can set that to the side and just ask the questions that you want to know the answers to, people will probably be more than willing to give you answers. And they might even thank you and say, that's a good question. Number of times I'll ask a question and somebody's like, great question. And I'm like, oh, I thought that just meant I was dumb. So I think that's something that you're going to want to experiment with. And I would say between now and next week is at least once a day, ask a question. And I know your palms might sweat, it might be really uncomfortable, but ask a question and see if you can't start shifting that limiting belief of I don't matter or I'm not enough. I need to know it all in order to have a right to be here, kind of thing. I hope that's helpful. If you want to share any more and let me know if that's useful, please do. Great question. Okay, good. I'm glad that's helpful. Thank you. Good. Yeah, I think that's imposter syndrome. If we all have that, and if we don't think that we have it, we're just numb to it, and it's probably even more dangerous for us. Everybody, I'm reading an Abraham Lincoln book right now. That guy was had all kinds of insecurities, and that didn't stop him from engaging. Well, we're coming up on the end of our time here. Thank you for joining in. I'll share the other thing. We do have the More Life training coming up. That is a deep dive. If joining in here on Career Lab and getting some of this coaching, this is kind of like a dip in a river. The More Life training is like jumping into the ocean. But if you like this stuff, if you like social and emotional intelligence and you want to learn more and you want to see yourself advance in your career, this will help you do it. So you can check that out. That's coming up in a couple weeks, the More Life training. And again, would love to meet with you for a 15-minute session. I'll help you as much as I can in that time. And if you have questions that you didn't get to today, you can always send those to me at george@rightfoundation.org. And I will see you next week, unless there's any closing questions that somebody has on their heart before we sign off here. All right, doesn't look like it. Well, blessings, everybody. Take care. Thank you for your questions, and we'll see you next week.